This week we have an interesting convergence of some variables. We are studying vulnerable youth. It is also the week in which we honor and celebrate Veterans Day. And it happens to be 11/11/11. This is an unusual date to say the least. We also have in our class people who are serving or whose spouses are serving in the military. And so we have special meanings related to this week and to this our class. Then there is another variable that is going to happen that is of human interest. We are from Michigan State. This course is taught by Michigan State. And interestingly enough, on 11/11/11, the Michigan State men's basketball team and the North Carolina basketball team are going to be playing on board one of the naval carriers. I believe it is the one that was involved with the Osama bin Laden incident or killing. Okay? And so they are doing this to bring attention to the role and the importance of the military and to honor them. And it is a way to do this through the sports world. And so it is interesting that these incidents converge. Now, military kids themselves are vulnerable, as are all youth. And there are particular reasons why military youth might be vulnerable in ways different from other youth. But I just wanted to call our attention to that this week since we are studying vulnerable youth and since we are also experiencing these events to honor Veterans Day, which this year happens to be 11/11/11. So as you go through this session this week, you can be thinking about these issues, but also I want you to note that I've included in my professional update a concept that is extremely important, and that is the concept of pileup of risk factors. And note what that means, because that is very crucial and basic to the notion of vulnerable youth. The second focus I want us to examine is who are vulnerable youth. And the very best way that we can find this out is to review the materials that have been covered in the book review, especially the one On Your Own Without a Net, a clear definition and ideas of who are the vulnerable youth, and the model for reclaiming these youth. And then the human interest story of Wes Moore. Please take note of that. It is a must read. Well, who and how do we respond to vulnerable youth? That will be your job to figure out as a youth development professional. But please note that Jeffrey Canada is one of the leading people, and you will find his work reviewed there in partially. But also know that he is a person to put on your list of who's who in thinking about vulnerable youth. Finally, I've picked up on some current events that are occurring and asking you some questions as to how they're related to youth development. So please think these things through as you will be participating in the discussion for this week. And note that these are skills we need to be applying to be aware of vulnerable youth, to know who they are, to know that all youth are vulnerable in some way, but then also to see what current events are telling us about the vulnerabilities of youth. Have a good week.